Alright guys, today we're gonna go over profitable manufacturing and importing, margin and timeline analytics in AIMS360. I'm Shahrooz Kohan and we have Carter here. He's our AI expert who will be showing you the AI portion of the AIMS360 software. A little bit about AIMS360. Let's go back to this. A little bit about AIMS360. AIMS360 is your day-to-day business operations software for your fashion brand. So we take care of all the core business functions for fashion brands: accounting, product management, shipping, production, customers, all your sales channels, so EDI, Shopify, all that good stuff. It works on any device. There it is. It looks so beautiful. And if you have your own warehouse, we also have a warehouse management scanner system that you could use. That also works for production tracking. Los Angeles Apparel here actually uses that at their production facilities. For people who take wholesale orders, we have a remote link application for sales reps to place orders in it. Works offline too in case the internet doesn't work. And we do integrate to other platforms as well that you can pull your orders in from, and it integrates to all the good stuff that you already use, Shopify, etc., etc. Okay, so that was just a little summary of what it does. But think of it as it basically manages your whole business, every aspect. Okay, so but today we're gonna go over manufacturing. Why margins matter. So a lot of people will start with the design end, and they're focused on design, which yes, the product starts there. But once you get inventory and start selling, you got to make sure that you're making money, right? So you can stay in business. So fashion brands often lose margin without realizing it, because you start with the design end and then you get too busy to do the other analyzations. So B2B chargebacks, that's like if you sell wholesale, and penalties from retailers can quickly cut into your profits. And if you sell Shopify, delays can cause customer dissatisfaction. We've seen on people's Shopifys, they're canceling orders, and then the customers start posting on Reddit, "Oh my God, they canceled my orders. This is such a bad company." You know how people are just looking to find something, right? So you want to minimize those, and late production or importing delays can also tie up your cash because you've paid some money in there, and again, damages the customer trust. So AIMS360, we talked a little bit about that, and what it will do in the production area is we capture all the costs, and also we capture your work in process, which stands for work in process, meaning your production at every stage. So you know, oh, it's left the factory, it's on water, it's coming in. Or if you actually do your own production, it would be like Los Angeles Apparel, they do cutting, sewing, finishing. They'll track every single step like that. And then we automate allocation and sync that with the financials. And that gives you dashboards and analytics so you can figure out your margins. Okay. Again, we saw that a little bit in our video. We consolidating all of your tech stack together, so all the data is in one system, and you can pull that information out. Okay. Now let's get to margins. That's the important part. Calculating your margins. You want to check different types of problems that could occur. So you want to make sure that you can pull margins by style, by order, and by customer. So by style tells you this specific style is not doing well. By customer tells you, the guy that keeps calling and getting a discount, and then you forgot that you gave too much discount. And then by order is actual orders, maybe is specific time you had a sale, you want to see how the margin on that did. Okay. And with margins, we're also including your landed costs and looking at the difference, your variance of your planned versus actual. So if you thought it was going to be $10 and then it became 20, we tell you there was a variance on that so that you can plan better the next season. Okay? Capturing all those costs automatically, again, it's coming in from those, we call it vendor POs, which is like your factory orders that you've placed or your production orders that you've placed, and then dealing with all those importing costs. So if you're looking at your importing, you want to make sure you add all your duties, tariffs, freight, so that you get a fully landed cost number. Even if you don't have our software, just remember that you need to make sure that you include all those. A lot of the overseas manufacturers have now also started offering DDP, so they'll basically give you a final price. It's called the duty paid. So you'll know exactly what price you're getting, but not all of them do that. So if they don't, you need to make sure you add your cost. Okay, so you want to also, a lot of brands now sell both wholesale and retail. So you want to make sure that you compare those and do it separately, because obviously your wholesale margin is going to be way different than your retail margin. Wholesale, the quantities are going to be higher, but the price is going to be lower. Direct to consumer, your price is going to be higher, but your quantities per order, obviously, it's just 1 unit most of the time. And you have also spent some money on marketing, so you have to consider that in. Okay? With that said, so when you run some of these reports and you compare these numbers, you want to look at what is most profitable styles versus low margin styles. And then we touched on that a little bit, checking your customer profitability reports, especially if you're selling wholesale. We've seen it where, especially selling to department stores, they might be charging you back for things, and then you run the margin and you see, oh, I actually lost a lot of money on this account. That allows you to do better line planning going forward, so you can figure out your profitability and best and worst performer. Analyzing production timelines. So the production, again, if you produce yourself, you're going to track cutting, sewing, and finishing. And if you import, you want to see how long it takes to arrive. You can also compare that to other estimates. Like if you're using like ChatGPT, you could ask it, oh, if I import from China, what's the average time that it's usually coming in? And just see, is your average matching other people's average? Okay. So you want to make sure you spot those vendor bottlenecks early so that you don't get production in late. For wholesale, they could cancel the order, and for retail, if you don't get it in on time, you might miss the season. So very important to do that. There we go. So this is assuming you have these two sales channels. Wholesale, you get chargebacks, lost orders, damaged relationships if things are late. And retail, you get lost sales. You're gonna have to mark down, right? If you have jackets and they come in late in the season, you're gonna have to mark those down to get rid of them now. And that also reduces customer trust erosion. They're assuming, oh, you're gonna have jackets available on your website. They come there, there's no jackets. So key takeaways on this is to calculate the true landed cost, capture all of your different costs there so that you can figure out your margin. Benchmark your channels separately because wholesale and retail is going to be different. Spot profitable styles and customers, and analyze your timelines for smooth cash flow. With that said, I'm gonna actually have Carter show you a little bit on how you can run costing and margins through our AI connector in AIMS. So we've captured all of your data in AIMS. Let's say you're using AIMS, you would capture all the production data, all of the sales data, all the orders, customers, all that information is in there. The system will feed in information from your data into ChatGPT, and you can just run that in ChatGPT and ask it the questions you want.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. My name is Carter. I am a solutions engineer here at AIM360. I did a little bit of setup the past 2 days, so if you were here for any of those talks, thank you for coming. And if you're new here, welcome. What I'm going to be showing you here is the actual connection that we built out. AIM360, they do offer, ChatGPT, they do offer a MCP protocol where you're directly able to connect API endpoints directly to their servers to send information at real time with real data. With that, right here we can see the setup. This will all be personally customized directly to your needs with different packages, different files set up to what exactly information you're going to want to get out of this, right? For this exact setup, we're using some testing demo data with all of the different breakdowns, every single thing you can do within AIM360 and all the information you can get out of AIM360. As far as for the way to set up ChatGPT, again, you can set up flat files or an API connection. Here we have some flat files, just going off the data we just pulled from the previous website, as well as some basic instructions to actually set up your agent to get the best analytics out of it. Some basic setup rules include setting a role. Your expert fashion analytics assistant, review the CSV files exported from the ERP, including styles, orders, inventory, etc., etc. After that, you want to analyze what data you're actually going to go ahead and do. So a quick summary of what each file or API endpoint will actually pull. It's going to help set up the agent a lot better to actually know where to target to give you the best analytics. Towards the bottom, it's just going to say, how do you identify the business context? Where are you actually going to see the best results? What information do you want to see on the back end after you put in your data? And you ask it the question, what analytics do you actually want to see? What are the insights and KPIs that you want to hit? And again, just some, like I said, added rules to continue furthering like the actual capabilities of the agent model here. I'm gonna go ahead and save them. For the sake of time, I do have some pre-written prompts we're gonna go ahead and add. But again, we're talking about margins, right? You wanna produce the best margin possible. You wanna ensure that your costing is making sense with the amount of sales you're making. You wanna take a look at sales channels. How's it comparing between wholesale and retail? We're gonna take a look at all that today. So we're going to start with a pretty bulky question here, but I'm going to go ahead and break it down to you exactly as it comes. Based on the invoice margins for the year, right? So year-to-date data, everything changes with years, with seasons. You want to look at the most current data to see actually where you are with what you're producing as live as possible. So based on the invoice margins for the year, can you give me a robust chart demonstrating the highest margin products and their total unit sales / revenue? Can you also show the lowest margin products and their total unit sales / revenue? And so again, as you've probably seen, if you do play around with ChatGPT pretty regularly, their ChatGPT 5 model is a lot more enhanced. It has a lot better like memory, a lot better processing, but it does take a little bit longer time because it really wants to get in depth with your data. Some of the other models like the 01 and the 4 they're a little bit faster, but they don't always produce the best results because they don't have the biggest context is what it's called. So just give it a second here. It's analyzing. It's directly pulling the data from the files that we uploaded. There it is. You can also click into it to kind of see what it's thinking about, some of the math that it's doing, all of that. So if you want the full breakdown of the details, go ahead and do that. Closing that out, you can see, boom, right then and there, a chart. You don't have to look at the data, you don't have to run the numbers, you pull the information in, exactly what you want to see, it'll be right there in front of your face. We can see here the top 10 highest margin products. We have the upgrade, gift wrap, gift card, gift one, it's FB jersey, CLN, a sort of different styles that we have, again, in our test database. And these are going to be some of your best sellers, right? They're moving revenue, they're moving units, and they have a great margin, so you want to continue pushing these products. For these just under, these are your lowest margin products. They don't have the best sales, they aren't making the best margin. These are what's actually probably going to be hurting your business, right? We see for a good amount of these, despite making good units, the revenue per unit is not looking as positive as you would want it. It's a red chart. It's not looking positive for you. And again, with the actual bar chart, with just looking at the KPIs directly as it comes, you're able to see a full breakdown, a summary version to kind of quote it for you. So all showing 100% margin, likely machines are or stand out with 144 units, $2,687 at full margin. Lowest margin products, negative revenue versus cost, impossible margins, which is you're literally like, you have to write this off so bad that it's charging you more to produce the product than you are selling it at. And again, with some of the KPIs, it's directly giving you actions, a summary of what you should do moving forward from this. Investigate why costs are missing, review the different suits and styles to see underpriced or cost over allocated.
Just wanted to add in that if you do say like what kind of a brand you are and what kind of a product, it could also give you better suggestions. Like just as an example, if you say, hey, there we go, I'm a men's suits brands, tell me recommendations for, there you go.
So directly with that, exactly what it is. For our men's suits, can you give me recommendations for me to eliminate the high costs to improve my margins, right? You're definitely paying more to produce it than you are selling it at. What is going wrong here? How can we lower the cost to produce? How can we probably see a way to upcharge it a little bit more to actually make a profit on this? So some actionable insights you can see here. Fabric and materials, source from a better place, maybe downgrade the materials a little bit. Negotiate bulk fabric buys. Maybe it makes more sense if you're pushing a lot of inventory, buy a lot more material to actually produce it so that you can make the most money, the best return on your investment. Reduce lining and trims. If you're doing like triple stitches, double stitches, literally every single minor change on the suit will change the cost of the product. And it might start out as cents on the dollar, but as you build thousands of products, that's thousands of dollars, right? Manufacturing and production, pretty much the same thing we were saying, just from the materials to actually who's making the garments, where's the labor coming from, how are they being shipped, where all of that information will help you cut down these costs to make the most of your margins here. Supply chain and logistics, again, if you're using a 3PL, you're paying people to handle these products for you, or if you're actually managing your products yourself, all of that is going to very clearly directly change the price to actually produce this. And pricing and positioning, again, so now that you've taken a look at the costing of it, how can you actually price it at a better rate to get the most on it when it's live, when it's selling, when it's B2C or B2B, how can you actually price it to make more money off of that? And then immediate wins, I'd recommend first, audit your landed cost allocation in the ERP to make sure that it's all correct. And again, if you're pulling this directly into the system, it's going to be what you've input yourself. Test and simplify trims and standard linings to make it a little bit simpler. And then again, at the bottom of it, it'll literally give you insights, actionable items of what you could do next to continue to improve on this. With that question comes like seasonal trends. One thing you might want to know is where are we making profitable bestsellers, right? So not just what's doing well, what has a good margin, but what is selling like really hot right now that has a great margin? What should I continue to produce? What should I focus on producing for the next season? What are our lowest margin worst sellers? What is probably eating up stock, eating up inventory space, eating up production time? How can you enhance all of that to make it a lot better? Right here, you can see the 2000 CJ. We have 10,789 units that are moving, over $800,000 in revenue with a 55.6 margin, top earner in both volume and profitability. This is the style that you want to continue pushing. This is what's going to build your company, grow it out, not just in revenue, but also in the actual, the units moving, right? 2167 HL, again, very similar, 8,838 units, 566K revenue with a really strong 73.6 margin. It's amazing margin and it's moving really hot. This is like your bread and butter almost. I'm not going to read through all of these, but we see some of the lowest margins, worst sellers, where we might not want to continue producing. We might want to cut this from the line completely because it's just not what you, not doing exactly what you want it to do. The 4047 PQ and the 4049 CA, almost no revenue but real cost, so in literally completely negative 100% margins. You haven't even sold these pieces, so they're just eating up time, inventory space, and production time. flowers, EW 100E, all of these, again, showing just negative results. And lastly, with the actions we recommend, how can you actually improve your business directly given to you right then and there? And then we talked a lot about having different sales channels and how we actually integrate all of your different sales channels, how we can improve your data and allow you to sell in different places. One of the biggest things you want to see is what are your margins looking like by sales channel? What are your revenue, your units sold looking by sales channel? So our last question, where I'll kind of tail this off today, is exactly that. If I can get my mouse, there it is. So how are our margins looking by order source? Where are we seeing the highest returns? Where should we push more marketing, right? So if your retail is doing extremely well, you want to have more marketing plans, you want to push certain styles, that is where you want to focus on. If your retail isn't doing as well, your wholesale is killing it, then continue pushing that, right? So where should I invest more money, more time, more production to actually see some results, some profitable results? So right here, you can see not only some of the sales channels that we integrate with, but also some of the returns you're actually getting and where you might see a fit for your brand and us. Fashion Go is showing 100% margin, but only 48 units, so you're getting a great margin, but there's not enough data to really fact check that. Shopify D2C, consistently strong, 423 units for the B2B site with over about $45,000 in revenue, 84% margin. Your Shopify Core, which is your typical online store, and then Shopify POS. So literally broken down by the exact location, the sales channel that you're using, how you're doing on sales, where you should push. Excel order, one version. You just imported an order, it was a manual order you might have taken at a event like this. You're seeing a pretty good revenue, great margin, but it's one version. And then remote link, again, another one of the sales channels that we do integrate with and how it might help you out. Some of the weaker margin channels, Brand Boom, EDI, WebLink, maybe you just aren't killing it in those departments. Maybe you should either slow down in producing for those departments, or maybe you should focus a little bit more if you think that it can grow in the future. And then lastly, again, we asked that question, like, where do I go next? Where to push marketing, double down on Shopify, D2C, and B2B. You're seeing the greatest margins, you're seeing consistent sales, which means you're gonna be continuously moving inventory, moving stock, being able to produce and make money directly off of it. Thank you.
All right, and then if you guys have any questions, we'd love to take your questions. Questions? There we go. So you can check out our booth here. You can contact us if you want to take a picture of that. Our booth's right here. We can show you the software and go through any questions that you have. And yeah, I hope that was helpful.
Thank you all.
Thank you.